the youth, it's very important for the youth to be at the forefront of this issue as well, because the youth, they have that drive and that fire that's needed to have a community or have like a group to advocate for. And so they're trying to gather the youth, inform them, educate them, and also power that fire within them to be able to make this issue a bit more well-known.
Right. Empower the youth who feel this disconnect.
Yes.
Let them know what's going on, and then
Exactly.
trust that they continue and they they elevate this issue because it matters for them, because it's close to them. Hi there, welcome back to Metropolis. I'm your host, Colin Datsba, and this is our segment, Hello Goodbye Lines, where I talk to our resident journalists here at CUTV. And joining me is our newest journalist, Pearl Marode Kabambi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not too bad.
Awesome.
It's a very hot week.
It is.
I talk about the weather a little too much, I think, in the intros for these, but it is a hot week.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
Yeah. Hey, true. So on the Hello Goodbye Lines, the journalists here at CTV come on and they talk about the coverage they've been doing, some interviews they've done, and I believe you have just recently done an interview with a new group based here in Montreal called Réseau Mayele. Can you tell me a little bit about this group and I guess why they exist, why they decided to start this project?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for the warm welcome. I'm very happy to be here, to be able to talk about this topic, a topic that I pretty much like hold dear to heart, I would say, because the group that we're talking about today is a group that I'm a part of. I am a Congolese Canadian, second generation. My parents are both born in Congo, and when I say Congo, I'm talking about the Democratic Republic of Congo, so DRC, because there's two Congos, right? And yeah, they were both born over there. They moved to Canada. They had me. I grew up here. And yeah, we're going to be talking about the diasporic community in Canada, or in Montreal specifically, in terms to what's going on in Congo, in the eastern region of Congo. So yeah, I guess for context, I could give the viewers some context for those who might not be as knowledgeable to the situation at hand that we are in today. And so essentially, really quick recap, because the history behind this situation is very, very, very detailed. And unfortunately, we don't have the time to go through all of that today, but very briefly, the eastern region of the DRC has been facing years, decades now of violence from a rebel group called M23. M23, yeah. And the rebel group has captured major cities such as Goma, earlier this year, in fact, that has led to the displacement of thousands of people in the region. There's been multiple deaths, violence against people of the community, the women, the children, unimaginable things. And it's best described as a genocide, even. Earlier this year, in a more hopeful but still somewhat fragile note, there's been a truce that was broken in Doha, but still the peace that's in the eastern region right now is still kind of shaky. And in response to this, there's been plenty of just movements or people gathering together from the people from the Congolese diaspora around the world who have made this distant news more local in their communities.
Wherever they are, they show up in numbers.
Exactly.
Let people know what's going on.
Unite to speak on behalf of their brothers and sisters, their family that are not able to speak for themselves in their situation currently over there. the situation again is very complex, right? And it's often misunderstood or reduced to just being an ethnic battle between Congo and Rwanda, but really it involves a lot of different webs of local militias, rebel groups, a lot of different regional powers that are struggling to work together. And so, yeah, there's been a lot of external powers as well, driven by economic interests and geopolitical stuff as well. And in reaction to this, again, there's been protests, there's been awareness campaigns, digital activisms, hashtags like Free Congo or hashtag Congo is Bleeding have been really popular. There's been artistic, journalistic, academic work being done to talk about what's going on there, because we don't really see much happening within major news or broadcasting corporations.
Sure. People aren't covering it as much as they should.
Exactly, or covering it well, for that matter.
Sure. So if they are covering it, then maybe they're only getting little pieces of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. They kind of like tiptoe around certain details.
Classic.
So we have people from our community, allies as well, expressing themselves in different ways. Again, whether it's artistic, journalistic, academic, that sort of thing.
Okay, wonderful.
And yeah, we've been seeing that globally. We've also been seeing that locally in Montreal, which leads me to the interview that I had not too long ago with two people who are part of the people who are amplifying this discussion and this cause. Specifically, I spoke to Yidia Ibusiri and Cindy Lufuabu.
Yidia and Cindy.
Yeah, Yidia or Yidi. And Cindy, who are Yidi is the co-founder, and then Cindy is the director of partnerships, who are working on this project called Réseau Mayeli. So essentially, to explain to you and to explain to the viewers.
Yeah. What do they do?
So they're a dynamic, youth-centered organization built or made to build a stronger community within the Congolese community in Montreal. Their name has a really interesting meaning. It's a French organization, so réseau, meaning network, and mayele, which is a word in Lingala, which is the language that's spoken in Congo, which means intelligence or knowledge. So together, network
of knowledge,
of wisdom, yeah, that sort of vibe, which is really their core mission, which is to educate, empower, and mobilize, specifically the youth. So they're really aiming to empower and encourage the youth in Montreal between the ages of 18 to 25. And this focus on the youth is deliberate. It's
right.
Pinpoint. We're there for the youth, because often when in our discussion we talked about how often especially the diasporic youth, they feel a disconnect between their identities, and they're juggling both being Canadian and also being Congolese at the same time,
right,
which is often pretty difficult here in the Western world, since already being foreign is kind of like something that's like
it sets you apart.
Yeah. It's not as easy to balance and to have, because we don't have that strong bond or community as much. And so the focus is on the youth who fall into that category, struggling to really get a sense of their identity, fighting with biculturalism, and also who are struggling to just feel a space where they could learn and understand about the issue that's going on in Congo, because of their struggle to find their identity. They don't really have the opportunity to also understand what's going on in their culture, what's going on in their country, because they don't feel like they don't have it's not their place, essentially, because they weren't born in Congo. They've never stepped foot in the country. And so it's like not their issue, or it's not their problem to talk about.
There's such a disconnect.
Yeah, exactly. Just a major disconnect. And that's what this organization is trying to bring up and fight for. We also talked about how the youth, it's very important for the youth to be at the forefront of this issue as well, because the youth, they have that drive and that fire that's needed to have a community or have like a group to advocate for. And so they're trying to gather the youth, inform them, educate them, and also power that fire within them to be able to talk about, make this issue a bit more well-known.
Right. Empower the youth who feel this disconnect.
Yes.
Let them know what's going on, and then
Exactly.
trust that they continue and they further, they elevate this issue because it matters to them, because it's close to them.
Exactly. And Yidi actually, in talking about the youth and why they should be leading in this movement, we could say, she pointed to people like Fred Hampton, who was only 21 years old when founding the Black Panther movement in the U.S. So for in a lot of examples, it's always kind of been the youth who have been pushing movements forward and advocating for things. So that's what we're trying to cultivate within Montreal for the Congolese community through Réseau Mayele. So yeah, the organization, they have a lot in mind. They just founded themselves not too long ago, earlier this year, and they have a lot in mind in terms of events or just ways they could fulfill their mission to empower, educate the youth and just like the Congolese community, diaspora community, not only in Montreal, but they plan to spread across Quebec and across Canada eventually as well. But they're having their beginnings in this city, which is great for us because we get to attend their events. They actually have an event coming up August 2nd this year. So you have time to make sure that you won't be booked that day. So hopefully people can make it. I can't speak too much on what they have planned. I'll let them announce that themselves, but you could keep up with them through their social media on Instagram, just Réseau Mayele. You should be able to find them. But yeah, they have a lot of things planned in terms of events, different panels, discussion circles, identity activities, a lot of historical things to help people foster and get comfortable with their identity. And
what do you mean by historical?
Just talk about the history of Congo,
sure.
different aspects of their culture, that sort of thing, to make sure that you understand where your culture comes from and what has happened to lead up to this point where we have this beautiful Congolese culture.
Of course,
that's not only in Congo, but also spread out across the globe. And yeah, so interestingly enough, one point that I want to bring up is how this organization was founded. So it was co-founded by Yidia and her sister. And this organization came out of a sort of place of frustration or dissatisfaction of the lack of community that there is, a Congolese community that there is in Montreal. There's a lot of us in the city, in the province, but it still feels like we're not really around, even though statistically we are. Right,
it's more of just like demographically, there's a lot of Congolese, but maybe there's not as much. It sounds like they're kind of wanting for a more cohesive kind of community, right? More integrated with each other.
Exactly that. There's been, like I mentioned, there's been a couple protests advocating for Congo in Montreal. There's been two specifically. The latest one being in December 2023. Back then, I actually did a report with one of the organizers of the protest, Jennifer Tikombe, philanthropist born in Congo, who moved over here in Montreal, and she does a little bit of work she's all over the place. She's very, very global. She also does stuff in Europe as well.
Well,
Yeah, she's very for the cause. And she organized a protest in December, which was a part two of the first protest that she organized. That first protest, let's speak on it. It was a very small protest, gathered maybe about a dozen people.
sure. So small turnout.
Very small turnout.
Not ideal if you want to
Exactly.
elevate a message. I
But
guess.
still, it still had or kept a fire within her. She still had hope.
That's great.
Or it even motivated her, I guess. In another word, we could say motivated her to want to do it again, do better. And so in that second part, the protest now that happened in December 2023, there was a better turnout when she tried it again. We're talking about maybe 80 people this time.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that bump from
Quite the
about
increase.
a dozen to 80 was quite significant, but still not as much as she was hoping for. She told me back then, during that discussion even, that when she was on the phone trying to organize the protest, she was on the phone with the city or like the local police, explaining what the route of the protest was going to be, because it was also going to be a march. And in that phone call, the person who was on the other line, the police officer that was on the other line, was actually really thrilled to finally, in her words, she said, finally, to have a protest for Congo, because they've been getting a lot of calls about protests happening for other countries, other causes that are also facing hardships right now,
True.
which is rightfully so. To have those protests happening, having those phone calls and organizing, but to finally have the Congolese community mobilize, was thrilling to the police officer, and she explained that to me, and it was very beautiful. But that to say that Yidiya was at that second protest, and seeing the turnout, she told me that for her, there needed something more. She wanted something more from that.
Even at the second protest?
At the second protest, okay, yeah. That was the first protest that she attended. And for her, it was just, there needs to be a more of a push. There needs to be more.
So this protest in December 2023, turnout is increased from that first one, but then Yidiya is still like hungry for a little more.
Exactly, sure. Exactly. There's more potential here. Like this is just the beginning of something, right? And so from having that mentality, she and her sister founded Réseau Mayele to just carry that torch and make sure that these protests aren't just here and there, but we have like a community or these events happening more frequently to hype up the drive and the momentum of people thinking about Congo, talking about Congo, learning about Congo, and having these resources to discuss about their identity, the Congolese identity, and just build a community of allies, of people, so on and so forth.
Having a more organized engine of mobilization.
Exactly.
And organization for these kinds of protests is so key.
Yeah, exactly. And to further this, we're talking about the organization itself, and what they hoped to have, what they hope to have in their career or within the existence of the organization. And one of their main goals in terms of success is to reach a point where Réseau Mayele becomes a point of reference, something that's iconic to the world, or to the discussion about Congo in Montreal, in Quebec, in Canada. Both Cindy and Yidzi said that they want the réseau to be as iconic as like when people are looking for or are craving a coffee or a nice cappuccino, they go to Tim Hortons. They think Tim Hortons straight up, right? Or when people want a burger, they think McDonald's or some other place. And they want Réseau Mayele to reach that sort of status.
Right. Someone thinks of the Congo, they want to think of Réseau Mayele.
Exactly. And that's the point that they're trying to get to. And they're trying to fuel people, gather people to have that energy and to share that energy amongst themselves. And and they also hope to have the organization live on beyond them,
of course,
and live for generations to come. So like 5, 10, 15, 20 years to still be as relevant and as core to the community, but also to the discussion about Congo as well.
They're trying to build an institution.
Essentially. So from what I could understand, they want very, very long-term success going on with this. And so it was a very, very fruitful conversation, I would say, overall. For now, in speaking of what we could do to involve ourselves in the réseau so far, right now they're still kind of building themselves up, but people can still reach out to them through their social medias, ask to volunteer, be a part of their opening event in August. It's in development, but there's still ways you could still keep up with them and see how they're working themselves up to being this small little thing, and hopefully being something as iconic as Tim Hortons for coffee culture.
The Congolese cause. Incredible.
Exactly.
Réseau Mayele.
Yeah. And I guess in closing statement, we could play some quotes from them that I think touche à cœur.
Touch your heart.
Yeah, sure. That touched my heart. I guess you could say a rough translation. Other than that, it was a very, very well nice conversation that I had with them, and hopefully, I already cleared my schedule personally. I don't know about
you. August 2nd for you is cleared.
Me, it's cleared. Alright, from get-go, don't try to book me because I won't be there. But hopefully, they have a good turnout on August 2nd, because they told me what they have planned. Again, I can't say, but it's some.
You're hearing
things.
This first exclusive information.
Some big things for both people who are Congolese and allies of the community. Okay. And so
let's end on this clip.
Yeah.
I want to say first and foremost, I'm a big believer in community, and like the older I get, the more I see how community has been like just rooted in everything that I've done and anything that had like helped me grow as a woman, as a human being. So I started doing like volunteer when I was in high school because it was mandatory, and then as the year went by, I stayed in volunteering because like it was good on my resume and all that. And being part of this project showed me, even the study I studied, like I said, I studied public health, and in public health the community is a big part of how you can improve the health of people. And to be in a project that shows, being in this project is just the culminating effect of like my whole entire life in believing that community can change things. Being together, coming together as a community can change things. So if you feel hopeless, if you watch the media and you're like, oh my God, what is going on in my country, and I feel like I can't do anything, I'm not saying that I have the answer to everything, but I can tell you definitely that community is definitely the answer. Like coming together, we'll find a solution together. We'll talk with each other. We'll make each other feel a little bit better, a little bit less alone. So I think that Réseau Mayele can do that. So my answer is definitely community. Whatever you're going through, whatever's happening, community will always be the answer.
I would say that conversation with your elders and conversation with people who relate to your experience can sparkle so many you can really find comfort into this conversation, and it all comes back to community and all comes back to what Réseau Mayele is actually striving to do. And yeah, I think that having those spaces and structures in place where you can get involved is really important. I would also say try something, and don't stay kind of like in that space where you feel like I can't do nothing because I don't understand what's going on. It's not my place to do anything. We are all responsible for what's going on in DRC, all of us, and I'm insisting on us being the Congolese youth, especially allies as well, but I believe that we have a special responsibilities because, like I said, this is where we're coming from and it runs through our veins. And essentially to get involved, to try and do something, go and watch that documentary that has been sitting on your listen later on YouTube about what's going on in Congo. Make that effort, make the time, just reading something about it, trying to find some reliable sources as well. And we actually have a post about how to make sure that your source is reliable, so go and check that out. Yeah, just educating yourself. You can do a change. You are a change maker. All of us are. Like, activists are not born or like are human, like superhumans. They are made through little steps. Saying like there's something going on in the DRC is already a step. And I just encourage everyone to kind of like have that mindset that advocacy and change are the little things that you do on a daily.
So there you have it. 2 clips from Réseau Mayele talking about community, the power of empowering our youth, and just the. I really like that little bit about activists aren't like born. You're made. They're made. They're kind of. It's something that you take part in. Activism is everyday life, and I think I really enjoy the responsibility she gives us on talking about the DRC, talking about what's going on there, right? Because there's such a long history of like colonialism there, and even today, outside of the Belgian colonialism that existed there, now you still have all this kind of like fractured forces, and then of course like people who are trying to take advantage of the resources there. So it's heartening to see this organization coming up and empowering the youth to speak out against what's going on there.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I mean, for me, this was a very enjoyable conversation, refreshing to have as well, to be able to talk with people from my community about these issues. And so, yeah, I thank them for being open to have this conversation with me. And hopefully this gave an opportunity for people listening, watching, to learn something new, understand, and be open to maybe attending one of their events in the near future.
Réseau Mayele. Keep track of that. And if people tuning in want to listen to the full interview, you can find them on our YouTube channel, Local 514, where Perm Road speaks to them, and you get to hear the full conversation. I'm sure there's lots of great tidbits in there. I really enjoyed that last one you shared. But thank you for coming on and
Awesome.
talking about this.
Thank you for having me. I'll be back soon.
Of course. We'll need to find out how that event in August goes.
Yeah, for sure.
Take care, everyone.